Juicy, seducing, mouth-watering. Okay, I tried to sound a little bit like Morgan Freeman there, but I mean, let's be honest, what's there to not like about meat? Look at it. It's just perfect. At least, that's what I thought before this project. Meat, is it worth it? For me, this came down to looking at a cost benefit analysis. When we talk about the food industry in general, it really breaks down into three different aspects: money, the way in which things are produced, and health trade offs. For me, the cost of a cheeseburger or a six-piece chicken nugget from Wendy's is definitely worth the benefit. Let's be real, we've all had some type of meat that just changed our entire mood for the day. I'd give up a couple bucks to feel this great here and there. Wouldn't you? So in the cost area, I'm giving meat the win. But see, this is really where the root of the problem lay. Even though I wouldn't want to break my pocket every time I buy a piece of steak, the fact that meat is so cheap in America makes it more accessible and addictive for the everyday consumer. Now, why exactly is it so cheap? This takes me into my next point, which is the way in which our meat is produced. The real beef that most people have with meat is more or less the morality behind it. Whether it be cows, chicken, or any other type of creature, these animals are very brutally treated. Outside of this, they're given so many different subsidies and medicines in order to genetically modify how quickly they grow and how much meat they produce. Ultimately, these big corporations just want as much meat as possible in as short of a period of time as possible. In fact, about 90% of the food we actually eat is processed or modified, a large chunk of this being the meat we consume, which causes unfair treatment to God's creatures. So, on production, meat's gonna have to take the L for me. Now, because of this genetic modification, there are of course some health risks that come along with meat. See, meat itself is not traditionally a health risk. The human body is genetically designed to eat meat, but see, the problem comes when it has become nearly an addiction, which is the case for a lot of Americans. In fact, in the year 2018, the average American is said to eat an all time high of 222.2 pounds of meat. Now, most are aware that consuming this much meat can cause a lot of health problems, but for me, just hearing this over and over again didn't do much. Now, let's be real. I consider myself a very optimistic and goal set person, but I also like to enjoy my life in the present. If I get to enjoy my double Mac cheeseburger a couple times a week in exchange for maybe a few weeks towards the end of my life, I'm all for it. Now, this may seem crazy to some of you. I can already sense Caroline scolding me for making such a comment. But to others of you, you can relate. Once we get old, our bodies slow down anyway, so I'd rather eat and do what I want now and then just shave a little time off at the end? Yep, this is how I've pretty much always thought until I looked at the hard data and statistics. Those who overly consume meat are 4 times more likely to die by cancer. And this isn't even getting into other issues like diabetes, heart disease, and strokes, which are all also direct correlations to the abuse of meat. Just one extra serving of meat a day increases your risk of death by a whole 20%. So I've heard these numbers, you've heard them, and so have millions of other people around the world, yet we're still in this predicament. Why is this? See, I believe that humans are emotionally attached to meat in a sense. It might sound silly, but historically, we've always depended upon meat to not only nourish us, but to bring together communities and create experiences. Because of this, to tell every individual in America to completely stop eating meat would just be absurd. This is why, personally, I made the commitment to not completely cut meat out of my diet, but to consume safe servings while trying to stay away from processed meats and preservatives. This can be tough at times, and while some don't want to make the commitment, it can essentially be a life-threatening issue. As we work to improve the awareness about our meat, we also work to provide a better future for the generations among us, which is ultimately the goal. Let us be the seed to sprout into the flower of hope this world so desperately needs.